Braving tornado watches to come down here. Hopefully the sun will keep shining for the next hour and 15. We'll get out of here unscathed. My name is Chris Bertelson, and I am with the Madison County Foundation for Community Arts. And this is the third in our lecture series of Speaking of Art. The first one we did community theater, the second one was community music, and now we are to community dance. If you need the bathroom, it's out the door and around the corner. And I think that's about all the safety warnings I need to give before we get started. I am really delighted to have this panel here tonight. They say dance is to move one's feet or body, or both, rhythmically in a pattern of steps, especially to the accompaniment of music. Well, what's not to love about that? So we are going to learn a lot about that this evening. I want to start out by going down our panel and having everyone introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll start right here with Connie.
Glad to see you all tonight. My name is Connie Lawrence, and my voice doesn't project well, so if you can't hear me, please let me know. I've been a new resident to this area for about 3 years and am delighted to be here. We've been really happy since we moved on here from Madrid. Been a dancer for about 25 years, so I have a little experience, and we'll be happy to tell you some more information about that as we progress tonight.
Good. Thank you.
My name is Kinsley, and I've been in dance since I was 2. I played the violin since I was 4, the piano since 5, and I started playing the flute this year.
Wow.
My name's Delaney. I've been dancing since I was 3, and I'm 17 now. I really like dance, so that's pretty much it.
No violin yet.
No, that's all her.
I'm Nicole Eccles. I'm the owner and director of Winterset Ballet and Dance Studio, and these are my daughters. The thing that Delaney left out, actually she had tried musical instruments, but it wasn't her thing. But she's planning to go to Iowa. It will be a senior next year and planning to go to Iowa to study dance too. So, we put on different ballets every year. So here pretty soon, in a couple of weeks, we're doing The Princess and the Frog this year as a ballet, and then we have like a themed performance that is like our tap and jazz and hip hop and modern dancers. Every December, usually, we do the Nutcracker at the Iowa Theater here in town, and let's see, it'll be 4th year this summer. We do a benefit performance at the Iowa as a way to help them raise money. And this will be our 3rd year of doing a Midsummer Night's Dream, so we kind of made it another annual ballet that we do in the summer. So it's kind of fun putting on the different shows.
My name's Sarah Pugh. I've been teaching dance for almost 20 years now, but it's my 2nd year owning Spotlight Dance Legacy. We just, yesterday, wrapped up our recital. So we did 2 shows. We do it themed where the entire show is themed. This year was Run Wild, Dance Free. So we had from jungle theme to going crazy kind of songs. Fun costumes. We cover from ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, point, afro, musical theater, pom. We kind of cover all those bases. We have an 8-month program. So now we are on break. We have a week off. And then in May, we do what's called a 1x1 program, where those that love being on the stage can learn a solo, duo, or trio. They get 4 hours of instruction, and then they perform it on stage at the end of the month. And it is kind of a test to their confidence and their skills to see how it all kind of works together to quickly put something together and put it back on stage. And that show we do as a benefit. Last year, the proceeds from the show went to hold our youth tight, and this year it's going to McFable Farms.
My name is Elizabeth. I'm 13 years old and I've been dancing for 9 years and I'm in 7th grade. My name is Claire Fells. I'm 12 years old. I'm in 6th grade and I've been dancing for 5 years.
Wow, that's a lot of dancing. Maybe we can add up all the years of experience. Somebody keep track. My next question is, how long have you been dancing and how did you get started? So we'll start with Connie.
Well, I've been dancing for 25 years, teaching for about 20, and that only happened because the person who was our troop leader didn't want to do it anymore, and nobody else wanted to either. And I, being really shy at the time, decided I needed to get over that shyness and do it anyway. So it's been a while, but yes, it's been a great 25 years. And the other part of the question was?
How you got into it? Explain that. You kind of.
So I originally got into it by doing just exercise videos, belly dance videos. There was a group back in the 80s that started the Belly Dance Superstars, and they created some DVDs, and you could do them at home. So I was doing that, and then I saw an ad in the Des Moines Register back when we had those things, no social media, that said there was going to be a dance workshop at one of the schools in Des Moines. And the group called Rainbows of the Desert, which is still in existence today, was going to be the host there. And I attended that workshop after, actually it was my husband who pointed it out. He said, I think you need to go to this. I think you'd really like it. So I did, and it was amazing. At the time, there were lots more dancers. Things have changed through the years. We can talk about that or not. But at the time, there were probably 50 women from all over Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri who were there. And it was like finding a whole underground, unknown club of women that were supportive and happy to have a new person there. Everyone kind of rallied around. I didn't know anything. I had just done the videos, and it's not the same thing. But they were so supportive, and of course the costumes, you know, women in jewelry and costumes is all kind of part of it. So yes, that's kind of how I got started originally.
Well, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. And your company's called Belly Up?
We have 2 dance troupes. My actual company is called Saja Designs. I create costuming and leather products and things. And it was Saja Dance Company, which represents joy and happiness, by the way. It's a multicultural name. But I have 2 dance troupes. One in town is called Belly Up that's been in existence. We practice in Nicole's studio once a week. We are Belly Up, and then my original troupe is Travel Minas, and we've been in existence for almost 20 years.
My word. That's wonderful. Better belly up than belly flop, right?
Correct.
Okay. Kinsley, you said you started when you were 2.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
10.
10. That's 8 years of
Yeah. And I don't really remember how I got into dance because I was so young.
I can tell you how she got into it, because I did not offer classes for 2-year-olds, and she wasn't quite 2, she would have been like a year and a half, and she was in the studio and she's like, Mommy, I do ballet, and she like put her arms up and like twirl, and I'm like, yes you do. And so I was like, okay, my own like daughter wants to do this, so I should look into starting this for 2-year-olds, because at the time I just started 3-year-olds with their parents, and then I realized, okay, they can, they're ready, and yeah, so she was kind of an inspiration.
That's great. You were probably the youngest dancer ever. Okay, and Claire, I think you gave us the math. You're 12 and you started 5 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Or not Claire, I'm sorry, Delaney, I'm sorry.
I'm 17 and I started when I was 3, so that's
Oh,
14 years.
okay, all right. I got the wrong name. Okay.
That's right.
We've got the math now. How did you get started?
Well, my first year of dance was with Amy's studio, and I think you put me in there. And then obviously the next year after that, that's when my mom opened her studio, so I've just been there for the other 13 years. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it and stuff.
13 years of recitals every spring?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I add that she danced on the couch when she was about 10 minutes?
Oh.
Cushions off and dance on the
Yeah.
couch.
So my girls were in dance and they loved it all, and there were costumes every year, a couple of costumes. So we had a dress-up trunk in the basement, old costumes. Is that still true? Do you, is that what happens to old costumes?
Yeah.
Well, since we have the studio, we have like a room and they're all hung up. And
Right, okay, all right.
With the Nutcracker, it's like set costumes every year, so it's just, they're always in stock, so
Sure.
I have a whole costume room.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Nicole, when did you start?
I was 4, so, and I'm 49. So yeah, my parents, my dad's nickname for me was Needle because I was constantly like in the splits or something. So they were like, I think we need to get you in dance when I was little. But so I danced through college, and then I actually have a degree in zoology. I was gonna go to grad school. I was gonna study marine biology. I love science, and that's what I was gonna do. Well, then my husband was still in school at the time, so I got a job at a water research lab at Iowa State University. And I was working with grad students, and I was a lab tech, and I love research, but I'm like, you know, the field work, it's a lot of work, it's, I don't know. And seeing the grad students and what they go through, I'm like, I don't think I wanna do this. And then I had, at one time had thought of going to vet school, and then I was like, wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I got a job as a vet tech, and I was like, I'll just do this in the meantime until I figure out what I want to do. And I was there for 11 years, and then it was her going through her first year of dance, and it just brought back all of this. Like, I never really stopped dancing. It was like like you hear these songs, I'm sure you know what I mean. You hear a song and you can just see movement and you can see dance, and it's just, it was this whole part of me that was just shut down for a while because I didn't have the creative outlet. So I did things like tried to make reeds or something at home, and it just didn't do it for me. But seeing her going through her first year of dance, it brought it all back. And then we just realized there were these opportunities, and we thought that where she was going was closing. And it just, I don't know, the stars aligned, and I was able to open my own studio. And so this is our 13th season, and it's been great. I joke that I figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up when I was 37. But yeah, so it feels good to be dancing again.
That's great.
My knee these days has another opinion.
Right.
on
Yeah.
dancing.
All right, Sarah, when did you start?
I started dancing when I was 3. I never know how old I am, and I tell the girls I age in reverse. So I'm getting closer to 40. I do know that. My mom put me in dance because she was never allowed to be in dance. I couldn't afford it, and so she put me in class because it's something she always wanted to do, and she was living vicariously through me. Growing up, I was incredibly shy, believe it or not. I know. I would hardly speak, even like speak when spoken to, I just would not speak. Well, they put me in dance class, and it was like a totally different child came out of class. I would talk, I would jump up and down, like I was just this totally different person. And so they realized that was my thing, and I stayed in class forever. I'm still in class, but just kept adding on more and more classes. By the time I was 9, we were all looking for more performance opportunities because every time I got on the stage, it was like another switch flipped, like a different part of me came to life, and my family was seeing this. So that's when I started doing competition dance and entering that whole world of different styles of dance, meeting different people, working with different judges. And it wasn't too long after that that my teacher saw that there was just something different about me compared to the other students. And she asked me, she said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be you. She said, okay. And I was 12 and started assisting in class. By 16, I was creating routines for the recital. And she was leaving me alone to help instruct some kids. She was still in the building, but just seeing how I worked with the kids. And that's kind of when my whole life changed, because we knew then that I would be here today. It took a long time to get the confidence to enter the market of small business ownership and, have that voice in your head of like, how will you raise a family? How will you be successful? How can you be a mom and be gone all night? How can you do all these things? And for many years, I let that voice be too loud. And I doubted myself, and I don't do that anymore. So that's how I got here.
Wonderful. All right, Elizabeth.
I've been dancing for 9 years, so since I was 4, and I started at 80s, and now I go to Spotlight Dance Legacy.
Okay, now Claire.
I started when I was 3. My first year was like a pirate dance. We don't even talk about that.
We live in Urbandale, so I think it was created in the dance company. It was a total different.
And then we moved here, and I remember I went to gymnastics, and I would always look across the street, and it was Spotlight every time. And I would always be like, I want to go over there. I want to dance, not do gymnastics. And I remember the first time I went there, it was like really shy, and like I didn't know anybody. But then I remember like Sophia and Stella and Harper and all of them all came up to me and like gave me a big hug. And it was just, I knew at that moment that I was going to be family.
That's great. Well, I tallied up, guessing at Sarah's age, 145 years of dancing. Okay, now Nicole touched on this a little bit. I'm curious to know, where on earth do you get the ideas for all these wonderful dances? Where do they come from? We'll start with Connie.
That is a great question. They come out of my brain, and a lot of times, it's gonna sound funny, but I'll be driving down the road, listening to a song, it's like, I know exactly what I want to do with that song. Or if the car, unfortunately, is where a lot of them come from. But they had a skit in church the other day, and started playing. It was some detectives were determining some things as part of the skit. I won't go into the whole story. But a song came on, and I thought, I think we need to do a dance with that with fedoras. Because it would work out so well. It's a little different when it's adult people that, rather than younger students, because they also feed you ideas at the same time. So it isn't just me that will, create everything, but generally starting with the song and the ideas, and then kind of going from there, trying some things. Sometimes things don't work the way you expect them, so you change them. But yeah.
And do you do this like in front of a mirror so you can see what it looks like, or what?
I have a dance room in my upstairs, yes.
Okay.
Some of the practice happens there, but a lot of times it is, to be honest, in my head until we get to dance class, and it's, let's try this and see what happens.
Okay.
And see if we like it, and if we don't, we'll change this or that. I also do a lot of training with other instructors. I'm happy with Zoom right now because I can train with people from other countries and different places rather than having to go there. So that's really been helpful. And the more you get immersed in that sort of thing, of course you grow, but you get more ideas from them, and it's a very supportive community. So in fact, I think all of the dance community is very supportive.
Yeah.
I'm pleased by that.
Okay, thank you. Kinsley, where do you get your ideas? She looks at mom.
I don't get them like as often as my sister and my mom do, but sometimes I'm just listening, like, I don't know how to explain it, I'm just listening to music and then I just see like different dance
everybody just wants to
Yeah.
move in certain ways?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so last year I actually created the entire second half of our spring performance. And that was, how many songs was it?
14.
Yeah, so 14 different dances with like range of like a 5-year-old to like 17. And that was like one of my biggest challenges because it was like all these different styles of dance that I had to like come up with, and then like multiple different age groups. But just like what Connie said, like I would just like be in my car and I would listen to the songs that I had chosen over and over and over again. And like for me, like when I choreograph, I just have to like, sometimes I just will sit there with my eyes closed I won't even be moving. I'll just be listening to that song, like, or whatever I'm trying to choreograph over and over and over. And then that's how I'm choreographing. And then once I get it, like a big part done, then I'll like dance through it and make sure that it like goes, or I'll just have the dancers like do it for me. And if it doesn't look good, then I'll change something, or if it looks great, then fantastic. But yeah, it just all comes from my mind. And some of my friends, like when they have like wanted to choreograph dances and stuff, they will go on like TikTok or like online and try to like look for like tricks and stuff on there. And I have tried to use like social media as like and some of the stuff like that I found like I would put, but most of the time like I don't look at like anything that anybody else has done. Like it's all from my head, and like I'm very proud of that. Like most of the stuff that I created was completely stuff that I came up with.
Is that
So-
the group that worked at, or that danced at the community band too?
Well, both places did,
Oh, both places did performances.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was if I'm thinking of the right thing, Essie was danced.
No, are you talking about the lawn chair
Yeah.
Yeah.
nights or whatever?
We did.
You're talking about the community choir.
Oh.
It was your dances.
Yeah.
That were done.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember now. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so a follow-up for Delaney.
Mhm.
So you think of 14 dances.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Do you write this stuff down? Do you take notes?
Yeah, so for everything besides tap, I write everything down, but tap I just keep in my head. Cause like, it's, like there's names for tap movements and everything, but like, for me it's just so much easier, or sometimes I record, cause it's just, there's so many like little, just a lot that goes into tap more than like everything else. But then also there's just like things like, for example, modern, like that's not really like there's not really a lot of actual names for like the moves. It's a lot of just like I don't
It
know.
might be something that you're just creating based on some
Yeah.
other movements, so it
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
not have a name.
Right, so it's just like, I don't know, like something I wrote down was arm going up and leg, like it's like that type of thing. But yeah, most of the time I write everything down unless it's tap, and then I just keep it in my head.
Because with music, if you think of something, we've got notations and stuff.
Right.
Is there any such shorthand in dance?
You just have to have a good ear, like,
Yeah, I mean, you would, so like, I do write everything down. A lot of times it's scribbles that I can't even read later, but for me it's not.
What was I thinking?
Creative process, and you're like, oh yes, and then later I'm like, does anyone know what this says?
Yeah.
But there, those certain movements that have the names,
Yeah.
you can write like Tonku or whatever.
Yeah.
But some of the times it's like, it might be the staging, so you're wanting dancers to like go
Right.
stage right or left or
Right.
whatever, or how their coordination is on stage. But,
So
yeah.
you gotta have a good memory of what comes next, what comes next.
yes.
So Nicole, where's your inspiration come from? Is it coffee, chocolate?
I do drink a lot of coffee, but definitely, it used to be when I was younger, more like what Delaney was describing. You hear a song and I can't explain it, but you just see movement. It's like the song, it isn't just feeling the song. I don't know, you guys know what I mean, like, you see movement, and it's like, and you can feel the movement too, and so, a lot of times it would just be like a song, you're hearing something and the way that it makes you feel, and then you just wanna start moving with it. But after having the studio for all these years, and I've gotten to know so many of the kids, and as they're growing with me, there's certain kids or the way that they move together that it's like, oh my gosh, yes, like, and so they're like inspiration too. And it's really nice that they've gotten to know me, because it used to be when I was younger and didn't have like a knee that likes to give me problems, I would do what you're saying, like I would come up with the ideas and be dancing and like kind of see myself in the mirror and like, is that gonna work? Well, I can't really do that now, and so I'll go into, especially modern is a lot of fun, because you can really like experiment with these guys.
She's
But
always
I'll
like,
go
I
in,
have a vision.
and I have my hands, and I'm like, okay, I'm seeing this, and it's like, can you guys kind of come up this way, and maybe somebody's like this, and then you go over, you know, and it's like, they're like, okay, so like this, you know, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm seeing like turning, you know, and it's like, because I can't do it anymore, so I depend on them to kind of interpret what my weird hand signals mean or something, but, so I've had to evolve that way in how I choreograph, but part of it is these dancers that have grown up with me, so they're used to me and my.
They can read your mind.
Yeah.
You dream it and they do it.
Yeah, but they definitely, seeing them move then stirs other ideas and gives inspiration.
Okay. Sarah?
Yeah, I would echo everything that has been said. It also, creatively, it helps in times of rest. When the stress levels aren't high and you're like sitting there in the quiet, that's when it happens the most. When you're not expecting it. On a beach, on vacation, and you're like, man, I wasn't gonna work this trip, now here I am. But having those age range of kids from 2 to 18 or with adults, each class kind of lends its own creative process. So with some of those, especially the little kids, you know, when you've taught for so long, you know what steps they can do, and it's kind of like the standard. Like by this age, they need to be able to do this step, so that is in their dance. So when I pick their song, I map it out. So I have count 1 through 8, and then I'll map that, the first verse, the chorus, the next verse, and then when I play the music, I'll be like, okay, this spot would be good for a circle, or this spot's good for partnering, or this spot is good for interaction between dancers and the audience. Okay, so now I have kind of my mapping, now my formations, and this is where things get really interesting. Depending on where I'm at or what I'm doing, I treat myself, I get my peanut M&Ms out. If I have 12 kids, then I have 12 M&Ms, and we play around with where they're going, and then I eat some and then have to get more. And then make the formations work. Especially like working with dance teams or college dance teams, bigger groups, it's hard to visualize 30 people moving. And like, if this person's over here, but you wanted them in the flip that's over here, how do I get them? Okay, so in the middle they need to be here, and then they transition to here, and kind of mapping that all out. So for some routines, I have like the whole dance kind of mapped, but not in detail as to what they're doing, just more formations. Some I have every single step written out, because let's be honest, we can't remember it all. And then we look at our notes and we're like, what is what is it? Then there's also times where the dancers in our heads are very talented. I'm like, okay girls, the dancers in my head we're doing this. Let's see if it's possible. And I always get this look and they're like, uh-oh. I'm like, okay, get out the mats. And they're like, what are we doing? We're gonna try what the dancers in my head were doing and see if it's even possible. We're not really sure, but we're gonna give it a try.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Elizabeth, how do you read Sarah's mind or come up with your own ideas?
Well, I don't really choreograph,
so you see it on TV, you whip out your phone, you record it, and then you play it back in slow-mo?
Yeah.
Boy, what a wonderful world. Okay, Claire.
Sometimes I'll just be having my headphones on and listening to like hip hop because that's like my style of dance. And then I'll just be like in my room walking, doing my laundry, and I'll hear this like really cool hip hop song, and I'll just be like, yeah, I don't know, just like, I'll just be doing that, yeah, and I'm like, my soul next year I want this movement,
Yeah.
and then like this year I'm working for a handspring, so like I want that in my dance, and I just like imagine it in my dance with my song, so yeah.
So when we see you do a solo, will you be folding clothes in that
I
process?
don't think I will.
Okay. Well, now I'm going to date myself with this next question. I'm inspired by watching Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly. Who inspires you? What's a dance artist that you've seen that you get ideas from?
There are many actually, and just to go back to the previous question, just briefly, our format is so much different because we're very structured. We start with, and it's mostly based on improvising. We have a leader in the front who does most of the directing, and we do short bits of choreography, which we learn our basic format, and then we add on to that, and we go different directions. For example, we'll add skirts to that format and change a few things. We'll add veils, fans, different props, and so forth. But we have the basic structure, and then within that structure, then we can change things and add and so forth. Person who inspires me is a woman right now who her name is Belladonna. My specialty is actually dancing with swords. We have Turkish centaurs, and we do lots of things with balancing and dancing. But I also like her approach to things because it's a system, it's very systematic, it is elegant, there's a lot of smooth transitioning from one thing and another. It's dancing, but dancing with a weapon, so it makes you feel very strong and powerful. Yes,
I hope they're not sharp, are they?
They are sharp on the ends.
Oh.
You do have to be careful they're not sharp on the actual blade edge.
Yeah.
So, but you can actually hurt yourself if you aren't careful, or drop on your toes, and that sort of thing, yes.
Wow, okay. Kinsley.
I don't really know what who inspires me, but I'm honest.
You're still looking for your muse.
Do you see people like on social media, like really good dancers though, like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I am. I don't really have, well, Misty Copeland is like, I'm a huge fan of her, but really just like, well actually the show Dance Moms, the dancers on that show are really, really good most of the time. And so like, oh wait, actually I know, Maddie Ziegler, she is so good. She doesn't really dance anymore, but she was on Dance Moms, and she, like, everything that she does and her, like, her facial expressions, like, her technique is really good, and she's very, very talented. So, but really just like, I'll be scrolling on TikTok, and a lot of dance videos are on my For You page, and I'll be scrolling on TikTok and I'll just see like a clip of like a group dance or a solo piece, or you know, like some dancers on point, and that will like inspire me but also motivate me, because like, you know, like these dancers that I see are like really, really good, and like I want to be that good. So it's just like good dancers, I guess, like not really specific ones, but yeah.
So Kinsley, I think your answer was supposed to be my big sister, please. Okay, Nicole.
I don't really follow anybody now, but I will tell you, as a kid, I remember seeing the movie White Knights with Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
And it was, I mean, I watched it more than once, but of course, just him being just an absolutely beautiful ballet dancer. But that scene in the movie where he's just like, you've got to feel, you know, and he just like lets it all go, and like breaking free of the strict ballet mold, and he's just like dancing all around the room. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Like, cause that feeling that you get from dancing, where, like you said, you find yourself and you express yourself in a way that you can't. Like, this small group is okay, but I hate talking in front of people, and like, I don't announce at shows like everybody knows how nervous I get. And it's like, but I could dance in front of like 1,000 people and be fine, but you ask me to talk? Oh my gosh, like, I'd be like shaking like crazy. And it's just, I don't know, it's like that freedom you feel, you can just let it go completely. And so I held on to that my whole life, and telling my dancers in the studio, like, just let it go. Like, sometimes I'll just turn off the lights and be like, whatever happened with the day, just leave it at the door, and this is your safe place, and just dance and let it go. That's what it is. Nobody's judging you here, you know, and so, yeah.
That's wonderful.
Go ahead, that part of that movie, or whatever that dance.
You killed the Grishnikov, the
Yeah,
action.
that's what it was. Okay,
Yes.
now I remember it, cause I had to know which one it was.
Do you
and
remember that
I
movie?
remember,
Oh,
yeah.
so good.
So when you say that, sure I do.
Yeah. Well, and Gregory Hines was amazing.
Yeah.
in that too. It's like, I never was a tap dancer, but I can definitely appreciate tap. But these guys do, I'm like, how are you doing that with your feet? Like, yeah, it's amazing.
He was in Pippin too, I think, Gregory Hines. Okay, Sarah, what inspires you?
Well, it used to be, like Martha Graham, Bob Fosse, Fred Astaire, like the classics, the greats, because they were, how do you say this? They didn't fit the mold of their time. They came around, you know, they're famous now, they're well sought after, people know them now, but at the time, they were deemed crazy, or like, they broke the rules, they weren't doing it right, they didn't fit the mold of the time, and that reflected so much on my childhood that like I just didn't fit in. I was awkward, I wasn't the typical dancer body, I was a hip hopper and a tapper. Like, what was my life gonna look like? Because I was a dancer, but I didn't fit the mold. So I connected with watching them growing up. But now I find a lot of inspiration in my dancers, because they are each finding their own unique voice, and they challenge me creatively and in my own thinking and my own skill set of like, how do you take an acro trick and make it flow seamlessly into a lyrical dance? Or how do you push the boundaries of flexibility while maintaining safety? And how do you make a classic move look edgy? So just thinking outside the box and not using like inappropriate moves as a filler. Like, anyone can do that. So how do we challenge ourselves? So now I look at the students more than I do the grades.
Elizabeth?
Miss Sarah from choreographing, and then when it comes to like famous people like Macy Case and Matthew Greco from the Minnesota dance team, so like going to dance clinics for like universities and seeing like all these dancers is really inspiring.
Blair?
I like to watch the Michigan Wolverines dance team. I just like they always look like they're having fun out there on like the football stadium, whatever it's called. And anything like the backup hip hop dancers on some things. Like, sometimes I'll be just going like scrolling through YouTube shorts, and I'll be seeing like these people like choreograph their own hip hop dance, like these songs that are like sped up, and it's like, man, I really wish I could do that. Like, it like flows, and it's like, it's really cool.
Cool. Now I want to know a little bit about the audience, so I'm going to go around briefly, and have you explain what your dance experience is. Let's start with this young man.
I have no game.
Are you inspired to try?
No.
Not yet.
Unless I push plants.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
right.
I have very limited dance experience. I have a friend in my 20s who is a dance teacher, and she graciously taught us tap. And a friend of mine tap, just private lessons for fun, not good. But that's it.
Well, I've seen you do a little happy dance when you finish your
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's you.
Modern stuff.
Yeah, exactly, that's you.
Okay.
Okay. So I really, when I was really little, I do remember taking like a dance class at like the community center in our small town, but I was like so little I barely remember. So I really didn't have any dance when I was younger. But I have the Sarah taught us hip hop now for the past a couple years. We've done this as part of the recital.
That's great. All right.
Growing up, I had zero dance experience up until 4 years ago when I was in my first recital and I took the stage. And next year will be year 5. I mean,
So she wants a trophy.
so I want a trophy. Yeah, I want a 5-year trophy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Trophy. Yes. Otherwise, I just really enjoy watching dance, and seeing what you can do with different music.
Yep, well, that's important. We need an audience for those people on stage.
When I was little, I'm pretty sure when I first started walking, I got it and I hated a long pair of tights. And then when I was 2 or 3, I started dancing, and then I quit a year because I wanted to skateboard. And then my parents fell into a bush, and then I didn't want to do that anymore. And then I didn't go into dance, and so this last year was my 5th year.
All right.
Well, my mother was the community adult education coordinator. In 1978, she had sponsored a class of belly dancers, and she said, "Lord, we need more students. Why don't you take belly dancing?" So I really enjoyed that. Only did it a year, but I was by far the youngest in that class. But then in college, I met my true love in ballroom dance. Kind of experience.
I think it's young.
Yeah. I get private belly dances.
She's also a cover girl, because she's always on the front page of the Minnesota, right?
Okay, Jewel, have you danced?
Yeah, so my sister was 9 years older than me, so this class of 65, so my folks had just, the basement houses you had at the, back in World War II or whatever, then my folks built up above, so we had this new TV, so like the whole town of Sheldon, I think, was in watching the Beatles on TV with Ed Sullivan, and man, it was like ballroom. I mean, they were dancing, they were like, and so then they always kind of did that all the time. And then plus she would have those 45s and play them over and over. So I know every 45, I know every song from the 60s just because she played it over and over, even the ones that are Chinese, like Sukiyaki and all that. So then you just kind of kept doing that. So then at the Roof Garden, because my folks had a place up there for many years, so we would go starting at 15, 16, with all my friends, we would go up there every Friday and Saturday night and dance at the Roof Garden. But then you got bored with it, so then you were like, okay, we're gonna see who can get asked the most, so then you had to turn every boy down. And be kind of not nice, I mean, you'd say it in a nice way, and then you kind of, it was just, we were dancing, everything was around dancing, but I never took formal dancing, like I told you, I tried tap dancing as an adult, because Mom said, you're a tomboy, you wouldn't even practice, and she's right, because the piano didn't last long. So then, I didn't do it, but my sister knew how to, and I always wanted to do it, so I told Sarah I want to do adult tap dancing, when I get my feet operated on and back to normal,
There you go. Nancy?
So I'm a very awkward dancer, so I was coming up to my son's wedding and I decided I'd take ballroom for a couple of years to get ready for this, right? My son took 3 lessons and he was ready, so go figure.
Took
I
more than
took
3
2
lessons.
years.
Well, I didn't dance as a kid, but I went to all my friends' dance recitals. I always loved watching dance. So fortunately, I
my son married a future dance instructor. I'm Nicole's mother-in-law. But, in the 70s, when I was in my 20s, somebody did do a bar, class, a ballet thing. We just did it, and a group of friends, we just did it for exercise. And that was before aerobics and all the different adult options. So we did that for a few months. And then other than that, until like Nicole had adult classes, fitness classes, and different kinds of dance, and I did that. Then I joined Connie's, I think that's been 3 years now. Her belly dance group, and loved it. Did it for a year and about a year and a few months, and then broke my ankle and ended up going back. But I mean, the ankle's fine, but I have bad knees, so, and just hip and things like that. So anyway, but I do know that it's awesome, and I actually did perform twice with her, which was very, very scary. But it was fun, very fun, but, yeah, I did it. Didn't I done that now? But I do kind of miss the classes, but.
I just enjoy as dancing, volume dancing myself, but as far as I really enjoy, I love the classical ballet. So anytime I can get on TV or attend something like the Russian ballet with Rudolph Nureyev or something like that, I get carried away.
Paul?
Last time I was in organized dance was junior high, and we had to take square dance, but where I think what I enjoyed most was, I was a band kid, and because of that, I was in marching band, and I really enjoyed field marching on the football field, because that's choreographed,
Right.
that is organized, you've got to hit your marks, you've got to know your pace, you've got to, not tangle your feet up, etc. So I equate that with what you ladies are attempting to do up on any stage. But I'm a visual artist, so right now, basically, I'm a wallflower that sits back and makes you all look good with my pictures, okay, as I photograph, so.
Teresa?
I have intermittent 25 years of musical theater dance experience, depending on the show. My character in Bye Bye Birdie 2 years ago did not dance. That's probably a good thing. Before that, it was Oklahoma, and Chris was my dance partner, and I almost took us both out multiple times. And now I am 2 months into belly dancing with Connie, and I am loving it. And there's parts of me that I didn't know could move that are attempting to move.
The only really dance experience I have is same with my mom, about 2 months of experience with Connie in her class, which I've really enjoyed so far. I've talked to a lot of new people, which I really enjoy, and seeing myself in a more elegant light than I've ever seen myself before, so that was also really fun.
All right, Chris?
I was never into dancing. I was more into sports. My parents were great dancers though, and they would just impress people. I really admired that out of them. And when I was young, I used to love that movie, A Chorus Line, the Michael Douglas movie. And I would just watch that over and over again. I thought it was just fascinating.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, besides meeting my wife through ballroom dance, I did all my girls dance off and on, and I did a father-daughter dance once with one of the studios here, and we learned some routines. And we used to have an acreage with a barn, and we had some pretty fun square dances out there. If you've never square danced, it's a lot of fun. Who here has square danced? Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Okay, the next question for the panel is, what is your favorite dance style and why?
There's so many.
Pick one. You gotta pick one.
Of course, my favorite dance style to do is belly dance, but I also thoroughly enjoy ballroom and other styles. I'm always thinking watching every dance show, much to my husband's chagrin and eyes, but yes, watching all the other dancers. But I truly, so in our world of belly dance, there are different styles. I'm gonna explain just a little bit. We have more the folkloric, it comes from the villages. It's a blend of many different ethnic groups in our style, using some of the traditional methods. The traditional methods, for example, are different body isolations, lots of figure eights and circles and so forth. I prefer that style. I find it to be a little bit more elegant, a little more grounded. It's based on like some of the traveling people in Egypt. We just recently had a workshop this weekend. We had a dancer there who taught a Turkish skirt format. And I really enjoy that sort of thing. We use a little flamenco styling in what we do. The other part of belly dance is the classical rocks sharki. It's more from Egypt. And it is more of a solo dance, where it is smaller, more contained. It is something that you would see in a nightclub, something you would see lots of sequins and sparkles and that sort of thing, which is great. Our costumes are more folkloric, big skirts and that sort of thing. So my preference is more the folkloric versus that, but belly dance will always be my most favorite thing ever in the world. It's much different than people would actually imagine. You see things on TV and you think, well, that's what it is. It's really different and more than that. So, yeah.
Very good. Kinston, what is your favorite?
I don't know. I have a lot. I have like a top 3 of my favorite. So my top 3 are definitely modern, tap, and ballet. Ballet because I just love ballet. I don't really know. And also like I don't really know how to explain. I just really like ballet. And then with tap, there's so many different like moves and stuff. And then with modern, I just like the style.
Yeah. We were watching tap dance the other night on Lawrence Welk, and it's
I know.
it must be an exhausting kind of dance. I mean, it is very, very active. Okay, Delaney.
So I would say my favorite is definitely modern. I feel like that style is like what I can like. That's like my outlet. Like most of the time, like I can really put like any emotion into like modern. But I'm really like gifted with tap, and so tap comes really, really easy to me. So I do really like tap, but I also, it's basically the same as Kinsley's, but point for ballet. Like I love it very much, and I love like the art of it, and I just, yeah, I really enjoy it. So basically the same as my sister, but yeah.
So how many taps are there on a tap shoe? Is it just front and back, or?
Yeah, it's the heel and then like the ball of your foot.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Nicole.
I have to say, I love ballet. I love everything about it. I love creating ballet. You see the dancers in the uniform and the movements and, you know, the point work and all of that. But when it comes to like an actual style, like modern for me personally, it's just that, like Delaney said, that outlet, that freedom, that you feel like it's like a part of you and a part of your soul that you're getting to like share and move. It's hard to explain. Modern is the type of dance that anybody can do. It's not, you know, the rigid structure of classical ballet where you're supposed to be turned out and you're supposed to have your head up this way, your arm's supposed to be here, you have to watch your fingers. I mean, you could have your fingers here if you wanted, and thanks to Martha Graham, you know, it's like, it's a great dance form. With that being said, I don't start my dancers on it until they're 5th grade, so like Kinsley's age, because it's, first of all, I want them to have the foundations of ballet, like you get that in jazz too. But modern can feel so strange. It's a lot of like, you know, contractions and the opposite of what ballet is teaching you. And so I want them to be old enough to kind of understand and be able to get that in their muscle memory and know the difference, but also to appreciate how it makes you feel. Because it can feel kind of strange. And sometimes like the improv we do, you know, it might be take people outside their comfort zone, take some of the dancers, but we try to do it in a way that it doesn't make them uncomfortable, but that's why I want to leave. But with all of that being said, I mean, as an adult, hip hop is so fun. It makes you feel like a kid again, even though after class, my knee is like, what have you done to me? I mean, it's just like, because I didn't have, hip hop wasn't really a thing when I was a kid. Like in jazz class, we did some hip hop movements, but it wasn't like this class you could take. That was more like, I feel like maybe later in college or after I graduated college, then suddenly hip hop was this thing. So getting to do it as an adult and seeing these kids move, it's so fun.
Okay, so Nicole likes all kinds of dance.
It's really hard.
Sarah?
I would agree with Nicole. The genre of that lyrical contemporary modern is probably my favorite because that is the area where you get to break the rules. Ballet is that basic, the foundation. You have to understand the rules before you can then break them, get outside the box and do other things. And the freedom to be able to just dance your heart out, that's where those styles come in. And I think that's why it is just a fan favorite. And even for the audience, it hits a little different than a classical ballet because it's very rare that you see someone in a tutu hip roll because it's not really accepted because you're in a leather skirt or, you know, in your romantic skirt, but you can do that in that lyrical modern contemporary genre. You can have some different emotion. So that I would say right now is my favorite, but tomorrow I will have a different favorite. I also really, really enjoy acrobatics and tumbling because there are so many celebratory moments with kids because the tricks and things are so hard, and then when they get it, man, it is just not only for a teacher but the student and the parents, like you know when they hit it. Where like sometimes the style of other dances are pretty conceptualized, like you're not sure like was that solo really good? Like, yeah, sure, but you know, like with an acro solo, like when it was a good performance. So
and they work so hard at it too. So
Yes.
when they get it, you're just
Yes.
like, it's a lot of work.
yes.
So ballet is like driving down the highway, staying in your lane, and modern is going off-road in your four-wheeler.
Yeah, and we like that.
Okay, Elizabeth.
My favorite one would probably be contemporary. I did a solo a couple years ago that was contemporary. I fell in love with that type of dance. But otherwise, like acro, because like it does the same with like watching Lucy Grace like finger moves and like putting the video in slow mo and learning those tricks and then like getting into it.
Okay, good for you. And Claire.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Obviously, it's just hip hop.
We can see that coming.
No, actually, I think yeah. So my very first solo was jazz, and looking back at that solo now, I don't know about that, but I can just like looking at everything from when I first started hip hop to now where I am now. It's just like a big growth. I feel like it's like Miss Sarah when she'll like get like a chair out and she'll be like, okay, you go through the footwork like this, and then we can work on the top half. So I feel like it's lot of footwork, and I feel like I like the fast movements, and just like when you have that one-on-one with the judges, you can give them like a little face or like little hand movement, and then they'll be like, okay, and I feel like that's what gets them into dance.
That's great. That's great. Okay, next question. We're gonna start with Claire and work our way back. Mix things up here. How has dance changed your life, and how many hours a week do you spend in dance?
Well, I don't know how many hours, just too much.
We're at the studio for it.
And dance has changed my life because I feel like the bond that you connect with the dancers through the years, like you'll go to a competition and be like, oh, can I have like a sip of water? And they'll be like, yeah. And it, like everybody just is like doesn't really care about anything. It's like everybody will be helping get your costume on, do makeup, and maybe sometimes we'll go out and we'll eat together. It's just like really fun, like hanging out. It's not just about like the dance, it's also about like the dancers and just hanging out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You found your tribe.
Yes.
Okay. Elizabeth?
Probably like the same as Claire, like going to competitions. I started doing title at a competition, and that's like pushed me out of my comfort zone. And then like connecting with your dance friends and like having a family. But otherwise, like even if I'm like having a bad day, I know I can like go to the dance studio, and like my friends will be there, and then I can just like express all my feelings out with dance.
Confidence. Dance truly gave me my voice growing up, and normally in a situation like this, I would have never done this, but dance has given me the tools to be able to speak in front of people, to speak my opinion, to be a strong leader. I would have never learned that had it not been for dance. It also helped me to be aware of my body and to listen to my body, good and bad, taking care of myself, listening when I need to take a rest, drink water, eat healthy, all of those things. I did other sports growing up, but it was more about the end result, where dance is more about the journey to get there and caring for yourself along the way. So my mom growing up was like, she always said, you are just so in tune with your body. I wish you would just stop. Because I'm like, Mom, I'm getting sick. I'm not sick, but I'm getting sick. And she's like, you would just stop listening to your body. Come on. Like, it's good and bad, but I would have never learned how to listen to my body if it hadn't been for dance.
Yeah, it's so true what Sarah said, and along those same lines, as a dancer, not only like your self-awareness, but the awareness of others around you, and there's something like you feel them. So when you're dancing with certain people, you get to know them, and they become your dance family. But just people in general, you feel them, and I don't mean that to sound strange, but it's like you're aware of your closeness to somebody, and it's how dancers are able to like move together, and you kind of get that awareness, and then pick up on things of how people are feeling and stuff too. And so it's a very it's like a gift dance gives you, you know. Along those same lines, like taking a dance class, performing, working towards something, you know, the same could be said with sports or learning an instrument, but it's something with dance, because it's that movement of your own body, and it's you know, so it's like, you know, I played sports too, and as you're part of a team, and you might work together in a certain way, that as a dancer, it's the way that you are performing that affects everybody, and so you learn this way of persevering to get to where you're wanting to be. You learn this self-discipline, like, I'm going to class, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna leave what I need to at the door. You learn this confidence, like, it's just all of these things in one that affect you and you carry with you for everything that you do in life. So it's like, running a business. This is not easy. So you're like, okay, dance has given you the confidence to even start that, but that self-discipline that you learn, like in a ballet class and that structure, and you're staying at the bar and you're doing these things, it's self-discipline, and you don't need given the accolades, you have built the confidence in yourself. You know for yourself that you've done a good job, and you don't need other people to tell you, because you just get that awareness about yourself. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
I like that. Yeah. Delaney?
Well, I'm in the studio more than I am in my own house, so like I have class 4 days a week, but I think like everything that they've said so far, but also like dance is just like my outlet. Like I can have like a horrible day, and then I'll come to dance and it'll like just make me feel better, and like also like I tend to have like a lot of emotions happening at dance, because it's like where I feel like I can actually let it go and everything, and like then I leave dance feeling so much better than I like did before dance started and everything. And sometimes, like, because my mom owns the studio, like I have a key, like I'll just go to the studio sometimes, and sometimes I'm just sitting in there, but sometimes like I will just like dance to different songs and like improv, or like try to make up dances for fun and stuff like that. And so it's like dance and like my mom owning the studio, like it's a like my safe place to go, and like just it just means a lot to me and stuff like that. But yeah.
Like about the same thing that everyone else has said, like the dance studio is like my safe place and like my happy place, and also like dance has come to like if I didn't take dance, I would probably not, or I wouldn't be so confident like playing violin and piano of other people, but dance has taught me to like not be scared, and it gave me more confidence.
Yeah, he needs that.
That's great. That's great. Connie?
I also echo what everyone else has said, and through the years, it's also not only been a safe place for me, but for other people as well. And for those of us who are a little older adults, it's a place of acceptance, it's a place of emotional support, friendship. We don't travel for competitions per se, but we've traveled to other events to learn things. We, for 5 years, did Renaissance fairs, and you have a lot of time together when it's a Renaissance fair, because it's a whole weekend and you're there, 9 to 6 or whatever. But it's developing that relationship with other people. We've had people who've lost husbands, some had health issues, and it's a place where they can go, be accepted, be comfortable. No one's judging what you look like, what you're doing. We share costumes. It's just a different environment where you feel supported, confident. It's not, in my role, it's not even about the performing so much. It's about the sharing and the interaction with the other students and the other people.
Okay, good. I like that. Great answers. Okay, I've got 1.5 questions left. And the Madison County Foundation for Community Arts, one of our goals is to reach out to the community and share the arts. We want to pollinate different artist groups so that they share ideas and just celebrate the arts and culture. So I want to know from the teachers how you reach out to the community. I mean, I know you can pack the house with just parents and grandparents and siblings sometimes, but how do you go beyond them? And for the students, how do you talk your friends into doing dance? Okay, Connie?
That is an excellent question. We just recently had a performance. We had a workshop this last weekend. We had a performance Saturday night. We advertised, we put a not posters, but we did the sign out at the fairgrounds, which is where it was. Social media, and we did not have many community people there. I would like to know the answer to what we could do. I'm gonna reverse it on you. What we could do to encourage people to come see us perform, because we would like to share more of what we do. We had people from all over the Midwest that came to perform. We had professional dancers there. And it was basically us and some husbands and family members, but nobody came. So that is the question for me, and I would be happy to have any suggestions on that too, from the other instructors.
Okay, all right. Kinsley, how do you get your friends to dance?
I just talk about like how fun it is and like how it's changed my life, and I just like do whatever I can to push for them and try to get them to join dance. So just like talking about how much I like different genres of dance, or like how happy it makes me, and like how much it's changed my life.
Do you get permission when you bring in the new student? Not yet. Okay, Delaney.
Mostly any friend that I have tried to convince them to do dance. Dance is not for everybody. So some people like that I've talked to, like they won't even like, no, like I'm not gonna be good at dance, I'm not doing it. I have gotten quite a few people to join, like for example, our older male dancer, he's one of my friends, and I convinced him to join. He was like, had asked me some questions about it, and this is his third year, I think, and that he's been dancing with us, and then also just like, you know, like trying to, like, my friends, like I've tried to like, you know, like just get good words about it, and like I try to spread like good and positive things about my studio or my mom's studio and stuff, so that people like get interested in everything, and then it helps that we have a lot of high schoolers that are in dance, and a lot of junior high kids are in dance with us, and so they like can bring in their friends and stuff. We also have this thing where it's like bring a friend night or week, and so everybody like brings a friend, and sometimes that friend will end up joining, and like they'll like it, and that type of thing. But yeah.
Great.
Well, and just trying to like promote our shows, you know, of realizing that it doesn't have to just be parents and grandparents coming to watch their kid on stage, like, you know, especially like the Nutcracker, it's the Nutcracker, and we have a shortened, you know, storyline, because we're at the Iowa Theater, it's not a very big stage, and so I kind of had to cut out some things, but just trying to get people to realize, like, you know, you can make this part of your holiday tradition and come see, or in the spring, you know, whatever ballet that I'm doing and, you know, worked on putting together, that, you know, trying to get them, it'll be fun. It's like a story, you know, it'd be like you going to the high school spring play or whatever, you know, and trying to realize that there's different ways of seeing dance, and you don't have to feel like that you're just going to watch like one person or something. That has been hard, and I feel like I had the studio for like 10 years, and I'm sure you've experienced this too. And I was at like a chamber coffee or something, and there was someone that was like, we have a ballet studio in town, and I'm like, I have been open for 10 years, and we've been doing the Nutcracker for like 5 years, and it's like, I don't know how to reach, you know, and it's like, you try to have stuff in the chamber chat, and, you know, recognized in the Madisonian, or posting things all over town, or, you know, the Iowa Theater, it's on the marquee, and I I just wanna say how much I appreciate, again, like you guys doing this, because I think that it is a little bit, I remember when I first opened, and I had to explain to so many people what a ballet even was. They had never heard of it, had never seen one, did not understand, so, and they're like, so it's like a play? And it's like, having to explain that, and so, as, you know, no offense, I think it was just the culture of the town at the time, and in my opinion, this town and, you know, you guys doing these things, it has come a long way in the last 13 years of like bringing in, you know, recognizing, you know, the arts and culture and doing stuff like this to try to get people to realize dance is an art form. We're bringing art to life on stage, you know. Yeah, so Connie, you know, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out those answers too. I will say people seem to be like insanely overloaded, where their brains can only take in so much, and it's like, yeah,
Well, Sarah's now a promotions expert at the chamber as well, so how do you reach beyond?
Well, I want to start by saying there are so many dance outlets in our community. Like, there are some that are in our county or just right outside our county who aren't represented here tonight, and there is a way for you to connect with those regardless. So we're neighbors, and you might connect with Nicole better than you connect with me, and that's great. And it's all about the love of dance here. We are not competitors. We are in this together. We are a very small community. So whatever we can do together is a big deal. Coming back to that, how do you promote it? You do a really good job of connecting with other groups, like partnering with Iowa to do your fundraiser. So smart. We partner with Hoyt. We bring in Hold Our Youth Tight. That also fills our audience. So it's not just the parents and grandparents, because now you're starting to do that spider web, because now their people are going to come because it's for their foundation, or McFable Farms. Their people are going to come because it's going to benefit them. So reaching outside of the arts to help those nonprofits or those others that might slightly lean into the arts, to bring them in, to help them to see in a non-threatening way or a way that benefits them that we are here